Thanks a lot, Rita. Hello, everybody. I hope that the coffee is already kicking in. And, well, let's get on this one. So Barry, aside from the title of the presentation, I'd like to start off by asking a question. How many of you are Git users? OK, fine. And how many of you are using TFS or any other thing? Good. I'm sorry for you. But not that much. Well, first of all, who am I? Well, as you heard, I'm Ingemar. I have been working with Triton since 2 years and 9 days ago. I know that because my license and work permit just expired 9 days ago. So I'm officially a Mexican wetbag. So I work for Ericsson. Well, my client is Ericsson. And as I said, I'm sorry for those who use TFS, because we also were using TFS at Ericsson. We are kind of like in this journey of moving everything from TFS into Git. And it turns out that it's, come on, there you go. I found very commonly that TFS, or, well, TFS, as we all know, it's already linked in with Visual Studio. So there's a very deep bond between them. And Microsoft has been trying to kind of like merge both experiences throughout the years to make things look pretty much the same. This is kind of like the third iteration they've done. But actually, it never works as it is supposed to. So for those that are coming from the TFS world, Git seems like I just don't get it. So coming down from this one, I found it on X. And it's interesting because we've all screwed, yes, I can say that. Yes, screwed up quite a few times. And, well, as I found this interesting because, yes, the terminal never lies. And that's why. The reason why for Git was written on the terminal. So with that in mind, so it will never fail. So many of us have this kind of like jargon terms on Visual Studio that perhaps we don't understand. And then we come to the terminal world and it's like, what is this? So what I'm trying to do right now is kind of like give you, for those that are not familiar with Git, like a brief introduction on what it is and how to work with it. And then we'll go on to something at the very end, something very exotic. So on the basics for Git, these are pretty much the commands that we do every day on the terminal. Don't worry about it. We are going to open it. So this is just for the sake of being brief. So we can create any repository at any time in our machine. We just by installing Git and running the Git init command, any name for that. I'm going to go on this one really, really fast so that we can have time on the terminal. Status, let us know where or how it's our current status on our repo. And how to get things in and out. Well, first out, check out. This one has dual meaning. So that's the reason why I have this part on the head. We'll talk about it later. And, well, how to add a file. Just in this case, we can add it with either a name or just a wildcard directory, current directory, anything that is on the path, and so on. The last part, the line switch with the -a switch is for anything that we are already tracking or anything that Git is already taking care of. So it's like very quick. Why the terminal? Well, we are more productive if we don't take our hands off the keyboard. The mouse is actually kind of like taking time. And that's one of the things that Visual Studio somehow gets very well. Well, that was about the next slide. OK. And usually how we are going to fetch our list of changes, it's with the log part. This one can be formatted very with a bunch of different switches. We're going to see a few of them. And then another one that is kind of like dual purpose, it's reset. The remaining of these commands, merge and rebase, this we're going to see them in action, are basically for delivering our work. And for syncing with the outer world, it's the remaining fetch and pull, which are basically getting the data in and out from our computer. So, like before getting into the terminal basics, what is the head? This is kind of like a common pitfall for all of those that are coming from the TFS world into Git. And perhaps you've seen already this term somewhere, like head and some interesting symbols after it. And well, what does it mean? Is like where we are at in this time in the repo. So basically, it's pretty much like the knob that we have on YouTube in order to skip or move the video position. But this is code. Or at least this is how I play this on my head. So for those newcomers to the terminal, head, it's there. So it's the tip or the place where we are at right now. So as I said, working with a terminal has a very good advantage. We speak Git's natural language. And by doing so, we are bypassing all of these features that Visual Studio or any other tools have, and lets us have control and perhaps perform certain operations that are not available, at least on Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code. There are other tools, such as Git Kraken, for example. How many of you are users on Git Kraken or something different than the IDE? OK, quite a few. How many of you have tried to perform a rebase? Fair. On the UI. Forgot. That's not possible. Well, that's when things start to get creepy. But we can actually do things such as fixing our very last commit or something that it's in between with no effort on the terminal. So we're going to see how easy or how hard it is. I'm going to jump onto the terminal. So edit. OK, this is going to be harder than by looking at it. Like I said, if we want to look at the history of a repository, we use the log command. Right now, what I'm doing, it's also using a variation of my own, an alias that you can actually configure on your repositories. Aliases can be configured per repository, per user, or per the whole machine. So in this case, I will show you how that alias is configured. Right now, it's something here. OK, this is how I got that one. So I just tell Git, OK, I want, this isn't actually very big, right? Can you all see it? OK. Increasing the font size. No, never thought of it. Maybe later. No, not sure if that actually, no, OK. OK. OK, that works. There we go. So in this case, this alias will let us, for example, present a graph. This is something that UI kind of like stands very well, but the terminal doesn't get behind. Oh, did I? Didn't I? Okay. I guess that we're gonna get back on the font size thing. This went crazy. Right. Let's stay out of it. Try it once more. We can see, for example, that we are using here one single branch, and this is the whole line of time that we've been working on. And whenever there's another branch, we can see that that branch goes off. On more complicated repositories, we can see this coming to the right. Right now, I think I picked up one that it's not that busy. But we can see here all of our, well, in this case, this other branch that got merged down there. There's a good thing that we're going to see with the merges later on. So, having established that, let's see if I can edit something. And for the last commit, as I was saying, we can, this same operation, it's done in Visual Studio, no problem. This is one of the things that many people get kind of along the way, which is the BI editor. If you are not a Linux user or been in the business for quite a long time, this is kind of something that you don't want. But you can change it. You can change it. I'm going to show you how in a minute. But right now, this commit was already in. And I'm going to add some text here. Nothing fancy. Done. Now we know that we have a new commit. So, for the editor part, okay. We can change the editor by going into the config section. In this case, I'm using Visual Studio Code for that. And let's try again. Come on, buddy. So this time it's easier for me to understand what I'm doing, how to get out of that screen. It's easier. The only thing that I have to do is save the file, and as soon as I close the window, Alt F4, it's done. So it's less intimidating by using other editors than the BI editor. For those that are used to it, no problem. It's you keep your hands on the keyboard. Now, that's kind of interactive rebase. What is this? What rebase let us do, it's basically we can deal, or I don't want to say the word, but it's mess with the history. So we can since we have a copy of the data of our own, we can take or add commits on at any time. We can even fake the time when these commits were added. Git manages this from environment variables, so you can just set the environment variables for the date, and you can make it look like it happened just yesterday instead of being right now. Don't do this on your with your clients. I delivered this feature yesterday. You can look at the commit. In this case, what we are looking at, for the sake of brief, it's that I'm able to doing this operation by doing a rebase and deleting one single commit. But we can, like I said, edit or add more stuff into the line. We can even reorder them. Let's see if I can get back into the terminal. I'm going to pick something kind of like randomish. Now, this one comes different. Visual Studio Code knows that we are using it from the Git command line, and it's presenting us this set of options. Right now, I can decide that I want to get this commit off and perhaps reword this one, which is actually just change the commit message, but I can add files if I want to, like I said. And once we're done, we can get back to the terminal as we were. And now there's a difference here. As you can see, the reference just moved. Thinking about it twice, I want things to be the same as they were before I started messing up with this. This dual purpose thing, reset, it lets us prepare or take things out of the prepare area for being committed, or we can set us back, it can set us back in time. In this case, I want to set myself back in time using the head. And 2 commits back. So right now, I'm in the commit that I changed, but I can bring everything from the remote and be back where I was at the beginning. What else does Git can offer? Or what other benefit I have? Everything is done on the local computer, by the way. So what? Git Hooks. How many of you have heard about them? Okay, many, right. So in this case, for those that don't know, we can use these small scripts, or as complex as we want them, to, for example, check that our commit messages are within the shape that we want, that if there is a standard that we must follow, we can check the commit, set a template for the commit, or run our unit tests just before delivering our next pull request. So it's better to have insurance and don't need it than needing it and not having it. So how many times with Team Foundation Server, you ship the code and then you pray when it's building because you only have the gated builds. So this is one interesting feature that stands out very well in contrast with TFS. Okay, this is something exotic. We can have repositories sliced, that's the word, or we can even merge them, but not in the sense that we think that it's a regular merge for us. But we can actually say, I like this directory. this directory has a lot of things that have been committed over time. I want to preserve this directory history, but in another repository. We can actually extract that into its own repo, for example. Before doing so, we can see here that we have, I prepared a bunch of automatic commits for this. And that we have two directories, source and tests. I am only interested in the source directory. So all I need to do is use this command, filter branch. What it will do, it's go throughout all of the whole history and just extract anything I need. If I, for example, have two files on the same commit, it will take the second one if it is not on the subdirectory that we are interested with. By the way, this is something that it's a destroying operation, so use with care. And lengthy. So if you have one of those like Google repos with, I don't know, terabytes size, this might take forever. But it's good for administering. If you move everything from TFS straight into one single repository, you can start then splitting things out. So those are the only files that we're leaving on the source folder. The remaining are gone. And all of the history that belongs to those files was preserved, even though there was things that were set for the other directory. Those files didn't make it to this final stage. On the other hand, if we want to merge a repo, first of all, we need to, well, I already prepared this one, which is a repository in my account, which is the one that we are going to be set for this. Oh. Okay, I just created a repository for myself. Let's add some files. Adding a file, as I mentioned before, just git add everything in this case. Commit in second repo. Let's repeat this part. Remote. It's gonna bring the it's gonna register the external repository that we want to merge with on the local repository. And we use the name that we are using for identifying this URL in order to get everything into our computer. That's the fetch part. as a side note, this operation that I'm performing right now, it's something that we already carried out as the same way as we splitted things. We needed then to join them back. You don't see this very often because, well, you actually start always from scratch with Git. So now we have the commit that I made on the second repo and the contents of the remote repo on my computer. So merging differently, but the same. I use the name of the foreign repo plus the branch that I will be merging against. And there we go. Now, if I check back on the log, I can see that there's more information. One, that it's coming from the foreign repo, initial commit, and two more commits. The one that is actually making the merge, which is two branches being, it's the nut that it's for the two branches, and the one that it's in the middle, it's the one that I just created above. So, back to this. What can we say about Git? Well, I ran around 8 commands, different commands right now, 10 perhaps. Wasn't that hard, was it? I think so. Takes practice, but in the end, I guess that 20 minutes, it's not basically something that you can summarize for Git. But what I want you to leave with is, it can help you. It can help you better than other tools because it's distributed. It can help you out because you can run things on top of it, such as the Git hooks, in order to prevent that you screw up. Or you can even revert or go in time and fix your errors. So that's something that actually lets you have a pristine history of commits, which is important when you are developing and you're trying to figure out who did this, why it happened, when it happened. It's better to have a clean history. So that's actually the part that gets imposing on us. So don't be afraid of the terminal. It's your friend. Even though we have some terminology, jargon that it's there, it's not that hard. And, well, that will be all for me.